There comes a moment when you no longer beg for the thing you desire. You declare it. You don't chase $11.00 you speak it into existence. You say, $11,000,000 is mine, it is done. And then you rest. You do not look for signs. You do not wonder if the wind is blowing in your favor. You assume that the word you spoke once was the creative act. This is not wishful thinking, this is spiritual law. When you say it with authority, with finality, the unseen world reorganizes itself to deliver it. Why? Because your inner speech, when saturated with belief, becomes the word of power. It does not return void. It brings back exactly what you have spoken. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You do not need to repeat it 100 times. That comes from doubt. And doubt postpones. But one pure assumption, spoken once with absolute inner conviction, that is the seed, and the seed contains the forest. Creation is already finished. The $11.00 exists. You are not trying to make it appear. You are aligning with it. You are taking possession of what is already yours. And once spoken, you let the soil do its work. 3 days or less. Because spiritual conception often matures in that window when the mind is at rest and the soul is certain. Do not look to man. Do not ask how. You are not the performer, you are the scripter. Speak your line and let the world fulfill its role. So today, say it once, $11,000,000 is mine, it is done. Now go your way. Think from the place where it's already yours. Sleep in the consciousness of wealth. Walk as if the ink on the contract is still drying. The moment you said it with faith, it began. And in 3 days or less, you will know. What you decree with conviction must come to pass. When spoken with absolute faith, the word becomes law. There is a power so intimate, so immediate, that it's often overlooked. That power is your word. Your word is not just sound, it is law. The moment you speak with inner conviction, you are writing the script of your reality. You are not hoping, pleading, or asking, you are declaring. And a declaration, when born of belief, is a spiritual command. It is not a suggestion to the universe, it is an instruction. In truth, everything begins with the word. The world you live in today was first imagined and then spoken. Words are not casual, they are creative forces. When you speak from a place of inner knowing, your word becomes a seed of physical manifestation. But the power of the word is not in repetition, it is in finality. The one who knows does not speak again and again. The one who knows speaks once and rests. That is the secret. When the word is final, it is because you have accepted it as truth. There is no wavering, no mental tug-of-war. You have moved the desire from possibility into reality through the power of your inner decree. The word you speak is not judged by the world, it is fulfilled by law. The unseen intelligence of life takes what you've said in faith and begins to clothe it in visible form. But it responds not to the noise of words, but to the vibration behind them. It responds to your conviction. When you say, I am wealthy, with the inner knowing that you are declaring something already true in the invisible realm, the outer world must comply. It is not a matter of if, only when. And often the when is determined by how final your word is. The word that creates is a word that leaves no room for negotiation. No plan B, no second guessing. It is done, settled, decided. So speak with the confidence of someone who understands the laws of consciousness. Speak as one who knows the end from the beginning. When your word is final, the outcome is inevitable. Then rest. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is. This is not about arrogance, this is about alignment. You are not trying to make things happen. You are aligning with what already exists in the unseen and calling it forth through speech. You are the operant power. Your life bends to your assumptions, and your assumptions are sealed by the words you speak over them. So speak once, but speak with authority. Let your word carry the weight of certainty, and then live as though your decree has already materialized. There is a profound difference between saying something and believing it. Many speak words of desire endlessly, hoping repetition alone will break through the invisible barrier to manifestation. But truth is not established by repetition. It is established by acceptance. The mind that doubts tries to convince itself by saying the same thing over and over, hoping that quantity will substitute for quality. But belief is not the product of repetition. Belief is a decision, a conscious inner shift from wanting to knowing. An assumption, one real, living acceptance of your desire as already fulfilled, has more creative power than 10,000 hollow affirmations. Why? Because assumption is identity. When you assume something to be true, you no longer speak of it as a future event. You begin to live from it. Gestation is not merely imagining the desire, it is becoming the person who already possesses it. It is an inner move from I hope to I am. Repetition without belief is a sign of internal contradiction. It's the soul trying to push through resistance instead of dissolving it. It's shouting into the void, hoping something will echo back. But assumption doesn't need to shout. It whispers, and the universe obeys. When you fully accept an assumption as true, your world begins to rearrange itself accordingly. It doesn't matter if nothing in the outer world has changed. The moment you feel the reality of your desire within, the seed is planted. The outcome is assured. Because assumption hardens into fact. And once that assumption is set, really set, you find no need to repeat. Why would you say, I am wealthy 500 times a day if you already know it to be true? The wealthy man does not chant his wealth. He lives it. Likewise, the woman who truly assumes she is loved does not wonder if a person will call or commit. She simply moves from love, and the world must conform to reflect that. This is the law. What you assume with feeling becomes your reality. The power is not in how many times you say it, but how completely you accept it. This is why one true assumption can create miracles. One deep, silent, unwavering knowing can bring about what years of affirmations never did, because it is done, not because you said it 1,000 times, but because you believed it once. So rather than counting your affirmations, measure your faith. Rather than repeating the same phrase out of habit, sink into the feeling of its truth. Let it become natural. Let it become you. Say it once, but mean it. Assume it is already yours. Then watch how fast the world bends to reflect that inner decision, because reality does not respond to how many times you speak. It responds to who you are being when you speak. There is no need to create anything. The truth, often hidden in plain sight, is this: everything you could ever desire already exists. The $11 million, 0 senses, is not something you must earn, chase, or build from scratch. It is already finished, complete, and available in the realm that precedes the visible world. It exists now, not in time, but in consciousness. And your awareness of it, your assumption of its presence, is the only doorway through which it must pass. To struggle and strive is to misunderstand the nature of manifestation. The world is not built from effort. It is revealed through alignment. And alignment comes when you realize that the thing you desire is already yours in the invisible realm. Think of reality as a radio dial. All frequencies exist simultaneously, yet you only hear the one you're tuned into. The $11 million, 0 cents, is a frequency, a station that's already broadcasting. Your assumption is the dial that tunes you in. Creation is finished. You are not here to build the blessing. You are here to receive it by accepting it as already done. You speak the word not to make it true, but to bring yourself into resonance with the truth that already is. When you say, I have $11 million, 0 cents, you are not trying to force reality. You are choosing it. You are claiming your inheritance. The word is not a request. It is a recognition. The moment you align with the assumption that the money exists, that it is already yours, life begins moving in unseen ways to reveal that truth. But notice, reveal, not create. For the unseen is the parent of the seen, and your role is not to beg the invisible, but to command it with calm authority. You are not inventing wealth, you are selecting it. You are not waiting for life to give you permission. You are giving yourself permission to receive what is already finished. It was finished before you asked. The pattern of your wealth was etched into the fabric of existence before you even formed the desire. In fact, your desire is simply the echo of that which already belongs to you. You feel it because it's calling you. You want it because it's already yours in another dimension. And your word, spoken in faith, is what collapses the distance between dimensions. So speak it. Declare, $11 million, 0 cents is mine. Say it not with desperation, but with quiet confidence. Then live as though the unseen has already unfolded into the seen. Walk through your day not in search of proof, but in certainty. Be the version of you who already holds the blessing. Because creation is not a process. It is a selection from the infinite. And you, as the operant power, select through assumption, belief, and inner speech. In the invisible realms of creation, there is a hidden rhythm, a sacred gestation period, that often governs the birth of a desire into form. For many, when an assumption is accepted with unwavering certainty, the outer world begins to shift almost immediately. And within 3 days, reality begins to bend, shape, and crystallize to reflect the new internal state. This is not a rule invented by man, but a pattern observed in the lives of those who understand the power of faith combined with finality. When your inner word is spoken with absolute conviction, when you have said it once and accepted it without contradiction, a countdown begins. The first day is the planting, the second the settling, the third the sprouting. Just as a seed begins to break through the soil only after it has been placed in fertile ground and left undisturbed, so too does your manifestation emerge when your assumption is left to rest in faith. The 3-day window is not about time in the conventional sense. It is not about watching clocks or marking calendars. It is a spiritual symbol, a metaphysical code, a period of transformation from the invisible to the visible, from unseen knowing to seen proof. On day 1, you speak the word not as hope but as law. You declare what already exists. $11 million, 0 cents is mine. It is done. This is the conception point, where the inner world takes seed. On day 2, you hold the silence. You rest. You refuse to interfere. You trust. You do not repeat. You do not look for signs. You live in the consciousness of it already being yours. You move, speak, and feel from the end. And on day 3, the evidence begins to break through. the phone call, the idea, the shift, the inspired action, sometimes subtle, sometimes dramatic, but always reflective of your inner decree. This cycle only begins when faith is full, when there is no internal argument, no fallback plan, no energetic contradiction. You must want for nothing, not because you are empty, but because you know you already have. The 3-day manifestation is not about forcing time, but about recognizing the gestational rhythm of unwavering belief. And when that belief is pure, when your assumption is final, the delay collapses. What would take months happens in days. What felt distant becomes immediate. But understand, the Lord does not respond to begging, only to belief. You must know it, not hope. You must feel it real, not wish it into place. You must walk in the end, not await its arrival. This is the power of spiritual gestation. So speak your desire once, clearly and fully, then rest, and in 3 days, or sometimes less, watch how the world moves in obedience to your inner command. Because when the soul is allied, the world is final and the result is inevitable. The 3 days are not for the manifestation to become real, they are for you to realize that it already is. There is a sacred stillness that follows a true decree. When the word has been spoken with power, when the desire has been assumed with full acceptance, there is no need to repeat or revisit it. There is only rest. This rest is not laziness, nor is it passivity. It is a bold and deliberate act of faith. It is the refusal to interfere with what has already been claimed. It is a silent trust that what you have declared is already set into motion by the unseen hand of consciousness. Most delay their manifestations not because they lack desire, but because they refuse to rest. They dig up what they planted by speaking against it, questioning it, doubting it, or worse, reaffirming it over and over, as if the first word had no power. But the creative power is never in how many times you say a thing. It is in how fully you believed it when you said it. The one who understands spiritual law speaks once, and then walks as if it is already so. That is the power of rest. It is the full and final surrender to the outcome, not through inaction, but through assured inner stillness. It is the knowing that the word was the act. When a seed is placed in the soil, the wise farmer does not return the next morning to check if it's growing. He does not dig it up, wondering if it worked. He knows that nature is working in silence. He trusts the process. His role was to plant. Growth is inevitable. So it is with the spoken word of consciousness. Once you have declared it is mine, once you have said, I have $11 million, 0 cents, or I am loved, or I am free, if you have said it in faith, then your part is complete. Your work is to rest, not in idleness, but in assumption. You carry on your day from the end. You think, feel, and act as one who already possesses what they declared. This rest is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the final proof of belief. Because only those who are certain of their power have the strength to stop trying. The moment you rest, you are telling the universe, I trust you to fulfill what I have accepted. Speak it once, not as a wish, but as a truth. Then let the invisible forces do what they are designed to do. Reflect your assumption. The seed of your word, once planted in the soil of belief, will always bear fruit when left undisturbed. Rest is the language of those who know. Rest is the behavior of those who expect. Rest is the evidence of faith. So speak it once, speak it well, and then let it go. Because when you have truly spoken with belief, it is already done. The greatest shift occurs the moment you realize this. There is no power outside of you. No force, no person, no system, no circumstance determines whether your desire comes to pass. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are the one giving the orders. You are the operant power, the cause, the source. The world responds to you, not the other way around. If you desire $11 million evening sense, do not look outward for permission or proof. Do not wait for signs in the external world before you believe it's possible. Understand instead that the outer world is a reflection of the inner state. And the inner state is ruled entirely by your assumptions. An assumption is not a wish, it is a quiet decision, a settled knowing, a chosen identity. When you assume a thing to be true, you begin to move, speak, and feel as if it already is. You align yourself with that reality, not in imagination alone, but in vibration, behavior, and being. The moment you assume, I have $11 million earned sense, you stop asking for it and begin receiving it. You stop hoping and start living from it. The assumption, once fully accepted, sets unseen laws into motion. People, events, and opportunities begin to move in harmony with your new inner command. Not because of luck, but because consciousness creates reality. And you, being the one who assumes, command that. The mistake most people make is believing the power lies outside them, banks, in jobs, in business deals, in luck. But these are not causes, they are effects. They are the shadows cast by your state of being. Change the inner state, and the shadows shift accordingly. If the $11 million zero sense feels far away, it is only because you have placed it outside yourself. But when you draw it inward, when you own it in consciousness, it begins to express outwardly. Do not wait to see the money before you believe it. Believe it, and you will see it. Your assumption is the only thing that matters. The world may contradict you, the numbers in your bank account may scream otherwise, but reality must eventually conform to your sustained inner decree. That is the law. You do not need to convince others. You do not need to ask for help. You only need to accept it as already done and live accordingly. This is your power. It has always been yours. And when you use it consciously, deliberately, and with unwavering faith, life becomes a mirror reflecting only what you hold within. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are not waiting on divine timing. You are not dependent on chance. You are the operant power. So declare what is yours, assume it boldly, and let the world rearrange itself to match your command. Because once you decide, once you accept, once you know, it is done. You do not need to beg, strive, or prove yourself to receive the $11 million zero sense or anything else you desire. You only need to decide. You speak it once, not with hope, but with finality. You assume it, not as a distant dream, but as a present reality. You step into the version of yourself who already has it, and you rest in that knowing. The world, being a mirror of your inner state, cannot help but reflect back the exact quality of your belief. Creation is finished. The money exists. It is not created by effort, but selected by assumption. The moment you declare it yours with feeling and conviction, you set in motion the unseen powers that shape experience. And if your assumption is pure, if there is no internal argument, no doubt, you will find the outer world bending to your word in 3 days or less. This is not a trick, it is not magic, it is law. And the law obeys the one who knows who they are. So speak your desire once. Say, $11 million, zero sense is mine. Let others chase, strive, and repeat. You now understand the deeper truth. One true assumption, fully embodied, is worth more than 1,000 empty affirmations. And once it is spoken with faith, it is done. Thank you for listening. Now go forth and assume boldly, because your word is law, and the world is waiting to obey it.